Hello, guys. Welcome to my channel. Thank you guys for your support. And for the people that haven't subscribed yet, I still want to say thank you. I love you guys. I love you. If you find this video interesting, for those of you that haven't subscribed, please do me a favor, support me to give it some thumb likes, some subscription, or some follow, depending on any of my channels. I love you guys. And today, guess what? We'll be talking about, you guys will be watching a video that's Korra Obidi and her new boyfriend. They were just discussing about toxic love from their own perspective and from their own experiences. And guys, this life is all about experiences. No one is the same. And we all have different life experiences. We all have different life experience. And life is a succession of lessons we must be lived to be understood. Okay, so guys, watch this video out. Please drop your opinions, your comments, your suggestions on the comment section down below, and please do me a favor to give it some thumb likes. It helps to boost the algorithm. I love you guys. Stay tuned, stay blessed. Get into the video shoots.
Yes we are.
Yes we are.
How about we ask them what we should talk about?
Well, guys, what should we talk about?
What should we talk about? Any topics that you've always wanted to hear what Korra had in mind, like what her opinions were on this particular topic. We were thinking about doing toxic relationships since we had just released Toxic Love 4 or 5 days ago, so we could talk about toxic relationships.
What's your take on? Have you ever had a toxic love?
Yeah.
What was it like?
I think most toxic love doesn't feel like toxic love when you're in it.
Yeah.
Because you're so in love that you don't really realize it. And, you know, you can be manipulated really easily into staying around, and you know it just isn't good for you, and you don't even realize that it isn't good for you. I feel that's the most toxic kind of love, is when you don't even realize that it's toxic. Or maybe you do know that it's toxic, but you don't want to accept it. You don't want to be realistic with yourself. You don't want to. Or you know that it's toxic. You know all of how horrible that it is, but you still stick around. Why? Is it because of the sex? Is it because of money? Is it because it's convenient to be with that person? Sometimes people just stay with each other because they know that their families like each other. Right?
That's sad. Yeah.
That's a big thing, especially like more high profile celebrities and royal families. That happens a lot, you know? And I feel like that's toxic. That's very toxic. Who wants to stay in something like that, you know? And also there's the Stockholm syndrome, where like, you know that it's bad for you, you know it's traumatic for you, you know it hurts to be in the relationship, but you stay anyway because you've grown an attachment to them, and you've almost learned to find peace in all of the turmoil and all of the trauma and all of the pain.
And the chaos becomes your normal.
Yes. And then there's, I think the most toxic of all is when you have something that holds you to the relationship.
Oh my God.
Children is a big one. Where all that happens is resentment. You start to resent each other, and you start to
literally hate each other's guts.
Literally. So I feel like all of those are really good examples of it. And then I think toxic love is also when another example is when neither partner will say, you're not right for me. They're just, because it's already set up, because it would take too much money, time to get divorced or to leave each other, they just stay together because they feel that they're holding on to something that isn't even really the love. It's more of just like, you're just staying together just because you don't want your friends to wonder why you broke up. You don't want anybody asking why this is the issue, why this and that. And the relationship can be over but you still stick together because of the label, because it would be too embarrassing to leave each other and for your friends and family and everybody that knows that you're together to find out that you're not together anymore. And that shit is like, that's like a trap. Like, I would never want to be in anything like that. Thankfully, my toxic relationship that I was in, or the 2 toxic relationships that I was in, wasn't really anything that I had just mentioned. Like, none of those scenarios of toxic relationships. It was more of just like, it was toxic mostly because I didn't want to leave the relationship, because I'm a big lover, because I believe in love and I fight for love, and in those kind of scenarios I kind of was the toxic one, because I didn't want to believe the fact that it wasn't going to work out. I wanted it to work so bad that I was delusional, and I would tell myself it's okay.
Yeah, but everyone around you is saying, hey, it isn't okay.
And at that point, are you really the toxic one? Or is your partner really the toxic one, or is it you that you won't be honest with yourself?
I think
you're toxic to yourself in a way.
Yeah, situationally toxic.
Yeah, situationally toxic. What about you?
Mine is kind of like public news. You just Google my name.
But is that the only toxic love that you've had, or have you had other toxic loves in the past too?
Yeah.
You have?
That's the only one.
Oh, that is the only one. Really?
Yeah, every other one has just been like, hey, okay, so we grew older and we're no longer, you know, in the same wavelength, and that's fine, and we can move on with each other's lives, you know.
So in other words, you're saying Americans are the most toxic.
Never said that.
Yeah, you didn't have to. You didn't have to, but no, I feel you. No, that makes sense. It does make sense, though, why you might not have experienced a toxic relationship until you got here. Were most of your other boyfriends not from here as well? Like, were they from Nigeria?
Yeah, but granted, I had never gotten married. I was married, you know.
Yeah.
So marriage is a different ballgame.
Marriage is a completely different ballgame. So. I think marriage makes toxic relationships even more toxic.
Like,
that's what I think. Like, I think it definitely makes a situation that is already toxic all the more toxic. You know, it makes it unlivable. You know, it makes it hard to be able to if you did want to, for instance, move on from that person, it makes it so much harder. You know, there's paperwork, there's legal work, people can get petty, you know?
How it took me 1 year to get divorced, and $100,000.
Yep.
At least. No. Minus the $50,000 I had to pay in divorce settlements.
Yep.
So, yeah.
That's wild.
So you better be careful and make sure she signs an alimony. Or like a prenup.
Prenups, yep.
Did I say alimony?
Yeah, that prenup signed. You bet your ass. I'm not dealing with that shit. And I think there's some people out there that think that prenups are like insulting to the partner who you're asking the prenup from.
Yeah,
but it's not. It's not insulting. I don't think it's insulting. Like, if your opinion is that you think that it's insulting, fair. That's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion, but I don't think it's insulting. I think it's, if anything, it's saving both sides a headache at the end of the day when it comes to figuring out paperwork in the case that it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
You know? I think we gotta stop sugarcoating greed with uncertainty of the relationship. People, like, anybody that doesn't want to sign a prenup is just being greedy as shit, and they know that if anything were to happen, they're gonna take their chance to try to pull money out of the situation, when it's like, listen, if it don't work out, it don't work out. You know, like, what would you have done if you weren't married? You would have just gone your separate ways, respected each other, been like, hey, you know what, didn't work out, let's move on. But prenup, I feel, or not signing a prenup and getting all of that happening, like all of the complications that come with not splitting the money from the get-go is a bit, it's a bit crazy.
Yeah. I mean, just a basic prenup. You can print one off the internet.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, whatever you brought to the relationship, you take out.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have any slice of my money, and I don't have any slice of yours.
Exactly. Don't be petty. Don't be petty, because that's petty. It's petty to take other people's money. Like, what the hell are you even talking? And a lot of the times, the lawyers are trying to make it seem like, oh, it's damages.
It's legal, yeah.
It's damages. You know, it's for all the trauma that my client had to go through.
That's what I had to pay. I paid $50,000.
Please, like, come on. And it does get, the most toxic, I think, of it all is when you get a divorce, and when you get into a very, like, ugly divorce. Imagine a divorce where people are like, where both sides are just trying to make the other look like the worst human possible. I feel that is just such a low vibrational energy. It's
just low vibes.
It's low vibes. It's toxic. There's no other way of putting it. It's toxic. It is. It is, because it's the same person that you were in love with for so long, and happy and lovey-dovey and all the great things that came with all the love and all the great things that come with a relationship. And then all of a sudden now you hate each other. You want nothing to do with each other. In fact, the exact opposite. Not that you want nothing to do with each other. You want to take money from the other person, and then if you have kids, you want to try to make the other person look like the worst parent ever so that you can get custody of the children. It's like, I feel almost sometimes in those kind of scenarios, the parents also forget that, like, what it must be like for these children, you know, and the kids, and like, they want to see both their mom and dad, you know what I mean? Like, for one parent to try to, like, take full ownership of that is, I feel sometimes, I think it's just an ego thing. It's an ego thing. People are just upset and they get emotional and they react. But you don't need to be doing all that. You don't need to be doing all that. You made these babies with the person who you're hating now. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not fair, but yeah. I'm blessed to have not have been in too many toxic relationships though.
You had two.
Yeah, I had two. I did have two. I know how to pick them. I'll tell you.
What do you think about picking people that, like, it's your trauma?
I mean, yeah, you trauma bond with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trauma bond. I think that if it's a person that helps you work through your traumas, then I think that it's healthy. But there's a very, like, thin line that you're crossing in regards to this particular topic. I feel sometimes I feel some people that aren't healing from it, but that think that they are again just telling themselves a truth that they want to hear, when in reality it may not be that kind of truth. Just because you can talk to your partner about your traumas that you've had and share that with them doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to heal you. Just means that you're speaking to them about something that maybe you should be letting out, but working through your traumas is a lot harder than just saying it.
Speaking about it, because speaking about it can just be rehashing it.
Exactly.
And you're not doing any work, you're just talking about it, and then giving someone information they could use as ammo against you in the nearest future. So.
Ammo, it could be used, it's just, you know, there's a lot of work that goes into healing. And if you don't have a partner that is helping you and challenging you to work through it, but instead it's just a person that makes you feel like, because they went through something that's traumatic, that you just have a buddy that you can latch onto because you guys both have gone through some tough things, that's good, but it doesn't solve the problem. It's like when you drink. It's like when you have a sad life and you're not happy and you drink so that life can be a little better for a little while. It doesn't solve the problem.
Exactly.
It's just a temporary remedy that makes you feel a little better for the moment. I feel it's the same way with trauma bonding. You feel good, you feel warm, but it doesn't cure anything. So at the end of the day, it builds. It builds and builds, and I don't think it heals anything. So I think trauma bonding, I have my own personal opinion, and my personal opinion is that just because you found somebody that has gone through some shit does not mean that they're your person. At the end of the day. Because if they haven't healed from those traumas, they're going to bring that into the relationship. And what's the point of that? Like, why then be with somebody who also has as much baggage as you? No, you got to learn to work through it. And unless you guys are able to create a system where you work through it, I don't think it's worth it. I think if anything, it's going to make it worse for you in the long run, and you're going to run into a lot of walls, you know?